Solo leveling, solo leveling, solo leveling. Yeah. Honestly, I told you guys that solo leveling was gonna make a big splash in 2024 anime, and what did I tell you? I've been right. I'm always right. Well, not always. I'm actually wrong a lot, but stick around and watch this video to the end because we're gonna go deep into episode 1 for the most part, and all the episodes going forward. Don't really want to spoil it for you guys because I want you guys to enjoy it. If you didn't read the manhwa, then this is mostly for you because obviously if you read the manhwa, this is just commentary and you're just here to enjoy my lovely voice and my funny jokes. But if you watch my other video on 2024 anime coming out, link in the comment box in the description, I basically broke down that solo leveling, the Don and Kaiju number 8 were gonna really make a splash in 2024 for anime. And I gotta say, manga, your days are numbered. Watch out because solo leveling is here to take things over. And it's new, it's fresh, while also stealing a lot of things from older manga. It's just like a better Sword Art Online. But let's get into it and let's get into the things that I found that stood out the most to me and that were most enjoyable. For starters, I don't want to do too much backstory stuff because if you want, you can go look up that stuff for yourself. But it follows our protagonist Jinwoo Sung, who is an E-rank hunter who they hunt monsters in dungeons. Now, if that sounds familiar, that's because it is. Think any anime ever, because they always have dungeons and they always have rankings, but this is just a little bit different with a twist. For starters, I think the names are going to be a bit hard to get used to because obviously this is a manhwa adaptation, so we are dealing with Korean names. So their names aren't as like different and distinct, in my opinion, as Japanese names. To be honest, they're like really hard to remember. They're just always with a song or a woo, but you'll get them. I don't even, it's going to sound a bit crazy of me, a bit discriminatory, so I'm not even gonna say that. But yeah, the names are a bit hard for me, but that's gonna be an interesting challenge going forward. I love the art style. It's giving Castlevania. Let me look up who is the publisher and the producer and the animator for this anime. So Justin, A1 Pictures is the animator for Solo Leveling, produced by A1 Pictures, directed by Shunsuke Nakashige, with Noboru Kimura writing the scripts and Tomoko Sudo designing the characters, and also music by Hiroyuki Sawano. So if you enjoy the music, hey, I gave you the shout out, so you heard it here first. But there's just something lovely and interesting about Jinwoo. I don't even know. With Korean names, do we put the last name first, the first name last? I don't know. That's a Japanese thing, but that might not carry over into Korea. So let me know in the comments, guys. But Jinwoo, he's just an interesting character. Even though he's the weakest, he already has shown this type of resolve that seems almost real and realistic. You know, with some characters, you can tell, like, this was my biggest qualm with Black Clover's Asta. He just seems so generic at first. Like, we got used to him after a while, not giving up his my magic, yeah, yada yada. But I don't know, Jinwoo just seems authentic. Like, what is he fighting for? They don't tell us in the first episode. He's just like, hey man, I can barely afford a knife, because if you know how the world works, basically you defeat monsters and they drop either these essence stones or mana crystals that you can then trade in for better armor and better weapons. But if you're an E-rank hunter, then it's very hard to even defeat an E-rank monster. So that means the best essence stone you might get is very cheap and you can only get anything. So all we see in fighting is with a cheap knife that literally gets broken in the first episode, and he almost gets thrashed in the first episode, which I agree is also very characteristic of most characters, because as we know, when we need to develop plot, the character needs to be weak, because if he starts off strong, then it's kind of boring. Think Mob Psycho, One Punch Man. When the character starts off strong, the development isn't always physical, it's more so mental. But when the character is weak, the development can be mental and physical. So we already know that Jinwoo is going to go through a lot. I'm not going to lie, like from what I've seen, I always thought he was a beast. So it's funny to meet him as, you know, a weak character. But obviously I'm the type of guy, I don't look into things, because if I do too much research at the onset of a show, then I'll know too much and I won't watch it anymore. But I'm probably going to do a deep dive on this one, because this one seems like a really good one to cover, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. So let me know what you guys want, what topics you guys want to know about solo leveling going forward. If you are enjoying this video so far, guys, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, because now we're going to dive into the plot, the world building, and the power scaling a little bit. By the way, solo leveling is actually also a webtoon, so that's pretty interesting. That means that it came out originally on the internet. That's very fire. So to go from a webtoon to the big TV screen is very important. That's very cool, guys. We gotta watch out for these webtoons, because they're really starting to take over. I don't know if a webtoon is also a manhwa, or if a manhwa is just a webtoon, or if the manhwa thing is just about Korea, but whatever, I digress. On to the plot building. So the plot is very good, because basically they explain that, well, first it starts off 10 years later, and they explain that the dungeons come out of nowhere, and basically basically the monsters that come out of these dungeons are immune to the weapons that we have created. Our conventional weapons like maybe gunfire, even nuclear power don't work on these monsters. However, some human beings have developed the characteristics and abilities to fight these monsters, and they are called hunters. Very vague because they don't explain how, because like I'm like, if the dungeons just came out, were new humans born with the ability, or were humans that were already born? Did the dungeons create a response in humans in which they now develop the powers to defeat them? Doesn't really explain. I'm sure they'll get into it later, but that's the premise of the whole anime. An important part of this whole power system is that every hunter is put into ranks, starting from S, A, B, C, D, and E rank. Wow, I almost got that wrong. I gotta work on my alphabet. But funny enough, now they make a big, huge point of saying that whatever rank you are in, you get stuck in that rank. So basically, Song Jin-woo is meant to be an E rank forever. Now, obviously, we know because of the plot and plot armor, there's no way he's gonna be E rank forever. But now I'm gonna give out one spoiler, one hint. It's not too much, nothing too crazy. If you don't want to hear it, you can click off now, but it's just a little thing. Basically, in the dungeon that they got captured in the first episode, where they start literally destroying all of his teammates, Jinwoo will run into a program called the System, and this system will make Jinwoo the sole player that's able to level up, meaning he can go from E rank to who knows how high he can go. So that's very interesting. Now we know how he's gonna level up, but it's just interesting that no player can level up from whatever rank you're in. It's kind of like life in itself. For example, the Indian caste system, which was around back in the old days, I'd say maybe 300, 400 years ago, it was very hard to move out of your caste or whatever hierarchy you are in society. So it's much like this. Now, just to quickly glaze over the world building, because obviously in any anime, when you have dungeons, the world building, there's a lot of space to create in different types of worlds, because obviously you're going into dungeons. So that being said, I expect a lot for the world building going forward, because these dungeons are going to get cool and really exciting with different dungeons, different bosses to beat, and just different challenges for the characters. And before we end, if you love this video, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'm gonna keep beating that into your heads until we get to 10K. We need to get to 10,000 subscribers, guys, so we're working. But last but not least, let's talk about the power scaling. Now, this isn't gonna really be about their abilities, because we haven't gotten too deep into that, but I will tell you about the hunter system. In order to be a hunter, you need to have a license. Therefore, you can be a human with awakened abilities, but not be a hunter because you're not licensed. We see a couple cases of this, like An Song-gi and Yu Soo-hyun. Wow, guys, these names are gonna be tough. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering these.
And I change clothes like my hoes. I love designer, and I change my flows like who knows. I want the comments.